Good morning, my brothers and sisters. Welcome to episode number 95 in the book of Genesis. Today we're going to catch a phrase, the Lord being merciful. So we're going to have this big story of judgment, and inside of it, just this little nugget, the Lord being merciful to this knucklehead Lot. So we're going to learn that there's no righteous people are going to be harmed in the destruction of the city of Sodom, because all have fallen short, all fall short of the glory of God. Well, what about Lot? That's the guy's name. Well, he's also unrighteous, but he gets saved. So God is going to make this thorough, accurate, comprehensive judgment in the city of Sodom, and all are going to be found wanting. So, but let's not look too critically at Sodom without looking at the city that you live in. So without Jesus, how many righteous people live in your city? Answer is 0. So everybody in Sodom grieved the heart of God. And does anybody make it to heaven by righteousness, by not grieving the heart of God? The answer is no. So God looks at you and finds you wanting too. The difference is between being in the family of God and not being in the family of God is forgiveness and a Savior that takes the blame. And sinners bathed with mercy, and that's what we're going to see here today. This is from Genesis chapter 19. This is the story of Lot and Sodom. The two angels came to Sodom in the evening, and Lot was sitting in the gate of Sodom. When Lot saw them, he rose to meet them and bowed himself with his face to the earth and said, "My lords, please turn aside to your servant's house and spend the night and wash your feet. Then you may arise up early and then go on your way." They said, "No, we will spend the night in the town square." But he pressed them strongly, so they turned aside to him and entered in his house. And he made them feast and baked them unleavened bread, and they ate. So we got two angels visiting Lot in Sodom, and he practices this nice hospitality. Verse 4, but before they lay down, the men of the city, the men of Sodom, both young and old, all the people to the last man surrounded the house, and they called out to Lot, "Where are the men who came to you tonight? Bring them out to us that we may know them." That means have sex with them. Lot went out to the men at the entrance, shut the door after him, and said, "I beg you, my brothers, do not act so wickedly." And then the strangest part here, verse 8, "Behold, I have 2 daughters who have not known any man. Let me bring them out to you, and do to them as you please. Only do nothing to these men, for they have come under the shelter of my roof." But they said, "Stand back." And they said, "This fellow came to sojourn, and he has become the judge. Now we will deal worse with you than with them." And they pressed hard against the man Lot and drew near to break the door down. So to the last man, they're surrounding the house to have sex with the angels, obviously wicked thing. And then you get this strange, sinful offering, shocking, cowardly, inexcusable abdication of his role as father and daughter relationship. And the crowd doubles down and makes their intent really known with this physical attack. So before we get too judgmental, has any human in deed and in thought lived a perfectly pure sexual life? Let's just ask, how about you? Have you lived a perfectly pure sexual life? So that kind of shuts everybody up right away. Verse 10. But the men reached out their hands and brought Lot into the house with them and shut the door. And they struck with blindness the men who were at the entrance of the house, both small and great, so that they wore themselves out, groping for the door. Then the men said to Lot, "You have anyone else here, sons-in-law, daughters, or anyone else you have in the city? Bring them out of that place, for we are about to destroy this place, because of the outcry against the people has become great before the Lord. And the Lord has sent us to destroy it." So Lot went out, he's the only one that can see, and said to his sons-in-law, who were to marry his daughters, "Get up, get out of this place, for the Lord is about to destroy the city." But he seemed to his sons-in-law to be jesting. So we've got, let me pause here. So we got this angel intervention. The whole town of men is blinded. And then we see this rising up of Lot. He's the only one that can see. And we sort of like this rescue boat is arriving, and Lot's the captain of it. And he invites his sons-in-law to it, who are blind at the time. And they basically said, "Oh, hey, we thought you were kidding. The Titanic is sinking." It's like, we were just going to take the next boat or something. All right, so verse 15. As the morning dawned, the angels urged Lot, saying, take your wife and your 2 daughters who are here, lest you be swept away in the punishment of the city. But he lingered. So the men seized him and his wife and his 2 daughters by the hand. And then here's the verse of the day. If you underline your Bible, this is the verse you want to underline. The Lord being merciful to him. So he lingers. So the men seized him and his wife and his daughters by the hand, and the Lord being merciful to him. And they brought him out and set him outside the city. And then there's funny negotiations. And as they brought him out, one said, escape for your life. Do not look back or stop anywhere in the valley. Escape to the hills, lest you be swept away. And Lot says to him, oh, no, my lords. So he's arguing with the angels. Oh, no, my lords. Behold, your servant has found favor in your sight. And you have shown me great kindness in saving my life. But I cannot escape to the hills, lest the disaster overtake me and I die. Behold, the city is near enough to flee to, and it's a little one. Let me escape there. Is it not a little one? And my life will be saved. And he said to him, behold, I grant you this favor also, that I will not overthrow the city which you have spoken. Escape there quickly, for I can do nothing until you arrive. Therefore, the name of the city is called Zor. So Lot lingers and gets, Sodom gets swept away. And Lot almost loses it again, but the Lord, being merciful, sees him by the hand and sets him outside of the city. So Lot was not found righteousness. He needed a savior. He was supposed to, follow the Lord. His wife looks back, and he kind of argues with the angels and says, hey, let me escape to Zor. So he negotiates the where and the how that this is happening. So as it turns out, a couple of conclusions today. Number one, no one has a perfectly pure sexual resume. Secondly, similarly, you are not righteous. You're imperfect. You're sinning. You're a knucklehead. In this story, when we place ourselves in the story, the person that we're supposed to be placing ourselves in the story of is Lot. So God remembered Jesus and saves you. It's this associative mercy. So similarly, may the Lord be merciful to your story as well. Thanks for listening.